"My daddy is in heaven. Can you help us get home?" said a little boy to the lonely CEO at the airport. Airports were supposed to be loud, crowded, noisy places, the kind where people rushed past each other, chasing departures and deadlines. But for Adrian Hale, the CEO whose name alone made boardrooms fall silent, the airport felt strangely hollow that evening. The weather had grounded half the flights in the country, and he had been forced to sit and wait like everyone else. No private jet this time, no executive assistant, no shield of status to hide behind. Just a lonely man in an oversized terminal filled with flickering lights and shivering travelers. His phone buzzed for the 7th time in 10 minutes, another message from his legal team, another update about the divorce papers, another reminder that everything he had built, his empire, his reputation, his marriage, was tearing apart faster than he could control. He clenched his jaw, shoved the phone back in his coat, and walked toward gate 47 in search of somewhere quiet. He just wanted the world to stop for a moment, stop spinning, stop demanding, stop hurting. That's when he saw them, a little boy no older than 6, sitting on top of a big worn-out suitcase, hugging a stuffed dinosaur with a missing button eye. Beside him stood a woman who looked too young to carry the kind of exhaustion etched into her bones. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, her clothes were simple, and her hands trembled each time she checked the departure board. She wasn't crying, but she looked like she was one breath away from breaking, and the boy kept staring up at passengers passing by, as if searching for the right person. Adrian only wanted to walk past them. He wasn't in the mood for human interaction. Not today, not with his life falling apart quietly behind the hard shell he always wore. But as he stepped around them, the little boy slid off the suitcase and rushed toward him, small shoes tapping wildly against the polished floor. "Sir, excuse me, sir," the boy called out, breathless. Adrian froze. He glanced down, expecting a request for money or directions, but what he heard next was nothing he could have prepared for. The boy looked up with big brown eyes too honest, too hopeful, and whispered, "My daddy is in heaven. Can you help us get home?" For a moment, everything inside Adrian went still. The airport noise faded. The announcements blurred, the cold space inside him, born from years of betrayals, boardroom wars, and a marriage built on thin glass, cracked just enough to let something else slip in. The boy wasn't begging. He wasn't manipulating. He wasn't afraid of him. He was simply asking, and that simplicity, that purity, hit Adrian harder than any courtroom blow he'd taken that week. The boy's mother rushed over, face red with embarrassment. "Illy, you can't just talk to strangers. I'm so sorry, sir." But the boy kept his eyes on Adrian, clutching his stuffed dinosaur like a lifeline. "Please," he whispered, "Mommy says we can't go home because we don't have enough things." He couldn't find the right word. The mother flinched. Adrian stared at them, feeling an unfamiliar heaviness settle in his chest. Something was wrong, deeply wrong. Before he could respond, an announcement rang overhead, and the mother closed her eyes in defeat. And that's when he realized, whatever their story was, it wasn't simple, not even close. As the boy tugged gently at his coat again, Adrian felt a question rising inside him, one that would lead him straight into the storm of their lives. For a long moment, Adrian simply stood there, staring at the boy whose tiny hand still clung to his coat. He hadn't planned to speak, hadn't planned to care, but something in the child's trembling voice loosened a door inside him that he had kept locked for years. The mother knelt down and gently pulled the boy back toward her side, whispering apologies with a shame that didn't belong to someone who had done anything wrong. "I'm so sorry," she said again, unable to meet Adrian's eyes. "He's tired. We've been here since morning. I told him not to." "It's all right," Adrian interrupted, surprising himself with the softness in his tone. "Are you too stranded?" The woman hesitated, her lips tightening as if the truth itself was painful. "It's just a misunderstanding with the airline. We're handling it." Illy tugged on her sleeve. "Mommy, that's not true." Her face fell. Adrian watched her carefully. She looked like someone who had practiced bravery so long she had forgotten what real safety felt like. He motioned toward the empty seats nearby. "Why don't we sit?" She looked uncertain, almost defensive, but exhaustion won the battle. She nodded. They sat down, the boy curling into his mother's side while still glancing at Adrian like he was the first bit of hope they'd seen all day. The woman finally spoke. "I'm Lena. This is my son, Elijah. We were supposed to be on the 3 p.m. flight to Denver." Adrian frowned. "Denver? That flight wasn't canceled." "I know." She swallowed. "They let everyone else board, just not us." There was a silence, thick, uncomfortable, full of something unsaid. "Why?" Adrian asked. Lena exhaled shakily. Because the card I used to buy the tickets got declined. They let us check in earlier because the hold on it hadn't shown yet. When they scanned it at the gate, the payment reversed." She shook her head, embarrassed. "I didn't have another card. So they just left you here?" Adrian asked, voice tightening. He had seen companies act coldly, but this felt cruel. "They said we could buy a new ticket or wait for a miracle." She let out a humorless laugh. "Miracles don't happen for people like us." Illy lifted his head. "We need to go home, sir. Mommy said Daddy can see us better from there." The words struck something deep inside Adrian, something raw, something buried. He inhaled slowly. "Your father?" Lena's eyes softened in grief. "My husband, Daniel, passed away 2 months ago. We moved to stay with my sister while I worked 2 jobs to save money for the funeral. But we need to go back home now, to his parents, to finish the last things he left behind." Her voice broke at the edges. "But after I paid for part of the hospital bills, everything fell apart." She looked down, cheeks flushed with shame she didn't deserve. "We just need to go home." The boy leaned forward again. "And you look sad too, like us." Adrian blinked. The child wasn't wrong. He felt exposed in a way he hadn't expected. Before he could answer, an airline staff member walked past and shot Lena a cold, dismissive look, as if she were a burden rather than a grieving mother. That look made something in Adrian's chest burn, and that fire pushed him toward a decision he hadn't yet spoken. But in the next moments, he would. Adrian had seen enough boardrooms filled with arrogance to recognize cruelty the moment it flashed in someone's eyes. And the way the airline staff glanced at Lena, as though her grief was an inconvenience, as though her child was noise, as though their hardship was somehow a personal failing, ignited a quiet fury in him that he hadn't felt in a long time. He stood. "Which counter denied you?" Lena's head jerked up. "No. Please, you don't have to get involved. They won't help. I already tried 3 times. But Adrian had already begun walking, not fast, not aggressive, just with the unmistakable purpose of a man used to commanding rooms without raising his voice. Lena and little Illy exchanged a worried look before following behind him. The airline counter was manned by a middle-aged agent whose uniform was neat, but whose expression was permanently hardened by the monotony of long shifts. She recognized Lena immediately, and the annoyance on her face was instant. "Oh, it's you again," she said, her tone dripping with dismissal. "Ma'am, like I explained, we cannot board passengers whose payment failed. You'll need to purchase new tickets. There's nothing else we can do." Lena's cheeks flushed with humiliation, but she kept her voice soft. "Can you please just let us fly? Stand by my son. We really need to go home." "Ma'am, I've already told you, no." The agent sighed loudly, turning her attention to Adrian. "Sir, if you're traveling, please step forward. I can help you. You don't need to wait for her." Those words, "you don't need to wait for her," landed like a slap, as if Lena was lesser, as if her presence was something to step around. Illy flinched, hiding behind his mother's leg. Lena lowered her gaze, too ashamed to look at either of them. But Adrian stepped forward, not to leave them behind, but to stand directly with them. "I'm with her," he said, his voice calm but edged with authority. The agent blinked. "Oh, are you with them?" The implication in her tone was unmistakable. "Why would someone like you associate with people like them?" Adrian's jaw tightened. "I'd like you to explain something to me," he said. If a passenger's payment reverses after check-in, isn't the airline required to offer assistance, vouchers, a rebooking option, basic human decency? The woman frowned, uncomfortable. Sir, our policy is flexible, he finished. I know. I own one of the largest transportation companies on the West Coast. I know exactly how flexible policies can become when someone decides to stop hiding behind them. Lena's eyes widened. She hadn't known who he was. She hadn't asked. The agent's expression faltered, but pride wouldn't let her back down. Even so, sir, we can't just give away tickets. If she wants to fly, she'll have to pay. We're not a charity. Lena froze. Illy looked up at his mother, confused. The people behind the line began whispering, some giving pitying looks, others annoyed, as though watching someone else's humiliation was simply entertainment during airport delays. And then, as if she needed to twist the knife one more time, the agent muttered under her breath, but loud enough for all three of them to hear, "People should travel only if they can afford it." Lena stiffened. Her eyes glistened, and she tried to turn away before anyone saw the tear slipping down her cheek. The humiliation was complete. All she could do now was retreat to protect what little dignity she had left. But before she could move, Adrian placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Steadying her, he turned back to the counter slowly, his voice low and dangerous. "Let me tell you exactly what's going to happen next." The agent swallowed. Because whatever Adrian Hale was about to do, it wasn't going to be small. The agent froze, her hands hovering over the keyboard as if afraid to type the wrong thing. Adrian didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His presence alone shifted the air, drawing the attention of a few passengers who sensed something unfolding beyond the usual airport drama. But instead of demanding anything, Adrian stepped back and turned to Lena. "Let's take a moment," he said softly. His tone wasn't commanding. It was human, gentle, even. She nodded numbly as he guided her and Illy away from the counter, settling them into an empty row of seats out of earshot. The humiliation still clung to her like a stain that refused to lift. Lena wiped her cheeks quickly, embarrassed that a stranger, much less a powerful one, had witnessed her lowest moment. "I'm sorry you had to see that," she murmured, her voice tight. "I didn't want anyone involved. I just didn't know what else to do." Illy leaned against her, slipping his little hand into hers as if grounding her. "Mommy's been trying really hard," he whispered, looking up at Adrian with quiet seriousness. "She doesn't sleep much." Lena exhaled shakily. "Illy's sweetheart." Adrian watched them, mother and son holding each other together with strands of hope that looked ready to snap. Something in his chest pulled painfully. He knew loneliness, he knew desperation, he knew what it was like to fight silently while the world judged loudly. "You don't have to explain anything," he told her, "but if you want to tell me, I'll listen." Her shoulders dropped. She had been holding 1,000 things inside: grief, fear, shame, responsibility. And now the dam cracked. "When Daniel got sick, the bills came so fast I couldn't keep up," she began. "He was strong. He kept telling me he'd be fine. He didn't want Illy to see him scared, but the hospital stays kept getting longer. My job at the diner cut my hours. I started cleaning offices at night just to buy medicine. Every month we slipped deeper." Her voice thinned. "I sold his truck to pay the last round of treatments. He told me not to. It was all he had left that made him feel like himself. But what choice did I have?" Illy looked down at his shoes, hugging his dinosaur tighter. "Daddy said Mommy was a hero." Lena closed her eyes at that, her lips trembling. "After he passed, I couldn't work for weeks. I could barely breathe. We went to stay with my sister, but her place is small, and she has her own kids. I told her we'd only stay until I found my footing again." She shook her head. "It's been 2 months. I still haven't found it." She swallowed hard. "I bought the flights using the last bit of money I had. When the card reversed today, I felt like I failed Daniel all over again. He wanted Illy to grow up around his grandparents. I promised I'd take him back." Her voice finally broke, soft and raw. "But I can't even get my son home." A heavy silence followed, the kind that settles into the bones. Adrian looked at her, at the silent war she had fought alone, and felt something shift inside him. He had spent years buried in corporate battles, fighting to protect a company he no longer recognized, destroying parts of himself he never noticed losing. But watching Lena, this fragile, fierce woman, break quietly in front of him, it stirred something he hadn't felt in years, a desire to protect, to step in, to do something that mattered. Before he could speak, a sudden announcement crackled through the airport speakers. "Passengers for the 6:20 p.m. flight to Denver, please proceed to gate 49, final boarding call." Lena jolted upright, panic flaring in her eyes. "That's the last flight tonight," she whispered. Illy grabbed his dinosaur, hopeful. "Can we try again, Mommy?" Lena looked torn, wanting to hope, too afraid to. Adrian rose slowly. "Come with me," he said, because he already knew what he was about to do, but he had no idea that someone else was watching and about to make things harder. Adrian walked toward gate 49 with a certainty that startled even him. He had made countless decisions worth billions, but this, helping a grieving mother and her son, felt heavier, more significant, as if fate itself was nudging him forward. Lena followed hesitantly, clutching Illy's hand, her breath quick and shallow with guarded hope. As they approached the gate, a supervisor in a navy blazer stood beside the boarding podium. She was younger than the woman at the counter, but her expression carried the same rigid professionalism, the kind that left little room for compassion. She glanced up as the trio approached. "Sir, ma'am, boarding for this flight is closing. Passengers must have valid tickets." Adrian stepped forward, calm but firm. "I'd like to purchase 2 tickets for them, now." Lena flinched. "Adrian, no, that's too much," but he shook his head gently. "You need to get home, let me help." The supervisor blinked, taken aback by his directness. "Last-minute tickets are priced at a premium, sir. They'll be, I'm aware," Adrian said. "Run the total." But before the agent could even touch the keyboard, a familiar voice cut through the air like a blade. Well, this explains why you're ignoring your team." Adrian stiffened. Lena turned. A sharply dressed woman in expensive heels was walking toward them with the confident stride of someone used to owning every room she entered. Her hair was immaculate, her expression immaculate, except for the cold satisfaction glinting in her eyes. "Clara," Adrian muttered under his breath, his estranged wife, of all the nights, of all the terminals, of all the flights. She had to be here. "Oh, don't look so surprised," Clara said, tapping a perfectly manicured nail against her phone. "My attorney said you weren't answering emails, so I assumed I'd find you sulking somewhere." She crossed her arms. "But this is new. Playing guardian angel." Lena immediately stepped back, instinctively pulling Illy behind her. Clara's gaze flicked to them, sharp and dismissive. "Who are they? Charity cases? Is that what you're doing now, rescuing airport strays?" Lena's face flushed with humiliation. Illy clutched his mother's leg tighter. Adrian's jaw clenched so hard it hurt. "Enough, Clara." "Oh, come on," she said with a mocking laugh. "You can't seriously expect me to believe you're buying flights for strangers when you can't even return a call about splitting. This has nothing to do with you," Adrian snapped. The supervisor hovered anxiously, sensing tension but unsure whether to intervene. Clara leaned in closer, lowering her voice just enough that only the 3 of them could hear. "You think helping random people is going to fix you, make you look noble in court? It won't." Lena swallowed hard, mortified. Adrian's patience cracked. "Walk away, Clara, I'm warning you." But Clara wasn't done. "You're not giving our money to anyone," she hissed. "I'll freeze every account before I let you waste another cent trying to look like a hero." Lena's breath hitched. Illy looked between the adults, confused and scared. Clara straightened, smirking when she saw Adrian's expression darken. "Besides, you can't buy the tickets even if you want to. I already restricted your cards. Try one. Go ahead." A challenge dripping with cruelty. Adrian reached into his coat, pulled out his card, and handed it to the supervisor. Lena watched with held breath. The supervisor ran it. A long, tense moment passed, then declined. Clara's smirk sharpened like a blade. Lena's hope faded visibly, and Ellie's eyes filled with tears. Adrian felt the world tilt beneath him, the humiliation, the helplessness, the fury. For the first time in years, he wasn't the man in control. But then the supervisor said something that shifted everything. "Sir, this card is declined, but..." She frowned, tapping her screen. "There seems to be a flagged note on your profile. Something unusual. You might want to see this." Adrian leaned in. His eyes widened. Whatever it was, it changed everything, and what the screen revealed would turn the entire situation upside down. For a brief moment, the world around Adrian faded into a low hum. He stared at the supervisor's screen, his brows pulling together in disbelief as he read the message attached to his account. His private account, the one Clara should never have been able to touch. Account flagged for suspicious activity, temporarily frozen for security, review contact required. Owner must confirm identity in person, suspicious activity. Frozen, identity confirmation. His divorce hadn't caused this. Someone else had interfered, and suddenly a cold realization spread through him. "Clara," he said quietly, too quietly. She lifted her chin. "What? You tried to access my private accounts, didn't you?" Her silence was answer enough. The supervisor blinked, startled. A few passengers nearby slowed their steps, sensing the tension thickening. Clara scoffed lightly. "Don't look at me like that, Adrian. You refused to cooperate with the filings. What did you expect me to do? Let you hide assets? They're not hidden," he growled. "They're mine." "Oh, please." She rolled her eyes. "It's all marital. You had no right to tamper with my personal security settings." He snapped, stepping closer. "You triggered an automatic freeze." Clara didn't even flinch. "You shouldn't have ignored me." Lena watched quietly, pressing a protective arm around Ellie as if shielding him from a storm too large for his little heart to understand. She didn't speak. She knew it wasn't her place. But the guilt of being caught in the crossfire made her stomach twist painfully. She wished she could disappear, wished she hadn't asked for help, wished she hadn't allowed hope to creep in. Illy, sensing the heaviness in the air, tugged at his dinosaur and whispered, "Mommy, is the man sad?" She knelt and whispered back, "He's trying to help us, and sometimes helping hurts." But Adrian wasn't done fighting. He turned sharply toward the supervisor. "What are the other options?" The supervisor hesitated. "Sir, this is the last flight tonight, and it's almost full." "How full?" "One seat left, just one." The words struck like lightning. One seat. 2 people who needed it. Adrian felt the air squeezed from his lungs. Lena froze. Illy's small fingers curled tighter around his mother's hand. Clara folded her arms smugly, enjoying the unraveling in front of her. "Well, problem solved. She can take the boy, or the boy can take the mother. Easy." Lena's face went pale. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "I won't leave him alone. He's all I have." "And she's all I have," Illy said, his voice trembling. Adrian stared at them. A mother trying to hold herself together, a child fighting fear bigger than himself. And something inside him broke open. He couldn't watch them lose again, not like this. He turned to the supervisor. "Put me on stand. Bye for any cancellations." The supervisor shook her head. "Sir, there are no cancellations." "Then check again." Behind him, Clara scoffed loudly. "Oh, for heaven's sake, Adrian, what are you even doing? These people are not your responsibility." He spun toward her, eyes blazing with a fury that silenced even the passers-by. "They're human beings, Clara," he said, his voice low and steady. "And sometimes that's reason enough." For the first time, Clara looked unsettled, but the tension didn't ease, not yet. Because the supervisor, after typing rapidly and checking multiple screens, looked up with an expression of deep regret. "Sir, I'm sorry that last seat. Just moments ago, it was taken." Alina's breath hitched. Illy's eyes filled with tears. Adrian closed his eyes for one agonizing second. Hope crushed again, but the supervisor said suddenly, staring at her monitor in disbelief. "Something else just updated on your profile. Something unusual." She turned the screen toward him. Adrian leaned in, and what he saw made him go perfectly still. Something had changed. Something impossible. Something that could save everything or destroy everything. For a moment, Adrian wondered if exhaustion was playing tricks on him. The screen the supervisor turned toward him felt like a dream, or a message meant for someone else entirely. Update. Emergency priority override approved seat 14. A reserved for account holder plus guest issued by Executive Director, Skylane Airlines. The supervisor blinked. "Sir, I've never seen this before. A priority override like this is only triggered from the airline's executive office, and only for VIP accounts with legacy status." Adrian's brow furrowed. "But I haven't used that status in..." He stopped. The realization hit him quietly. The airline's founder had been an old friend of his late father. They'd fallen out of touch after his father passed. Adrian had never once called in a favor, not for business, not for travel, not for anything, but now, without him requesting, it had been activated, as if someone somewhere had seen everything unfold and stepped in. He exhaled a strangely emotional breath. The supervisor's voice softened. "Sir, with this override you can board, and you're permitted one guest." She hesitated. "Two if the guest is a minor." Lena's eyes widened. "What? No, we can't take your seat. You need to go somewhere too." But he shook his head. "I'm not leaving the airport tonight. My meetings were already canceled." He stepped toward her. "Lena, take the seats." Her throat tightened. "Adrian, you already tried to buy us tickets. You stood up for us. I can't take more from you. You're not taking," he said softly. "You're going home." Illy tugged his sleeve timidly. "Sir, do angels do things like this?" Adrian knelt, meeting Illy's eyes. "Angels are just people who decide to care." The little boy threw his arms around him. "Thank you for helping, Mommy." Lena covered her mouth with her hand, tears spilling freely now. She had held herself together through humiliation, poverty, grief, responsibility, and now, finally, something broke open inside her. For the first time in months, she let herself feel relief. Clara, who had been watching in growing disbelief, stepped forward. "This is ridiculous," she snapped. "Adrian, you can't." But he didn't even look at her. His voice was quiet, calm, but final. "Go home, Clara. Whatever we had, whatever war you think we're still fighting, it ends here." She blinked, stunned. She had expected anger, maybe even cruelty, but she hadn't expected indifference. The kind that meant she no longer had power over him. Watching him walk away to hand the boarding passes to Lena made something inside her crumble. The supervisor returned with 2 printed passes. "Flight 620 to Denver. You'll make it if you head to the gate right now." Lena stared at the tickets like they weren't real. "Adrian, how do I ever repay you?" "You don't," he said. "Just promise me you'll rest when you get home, and let his grandparents love you both." She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I will." Illy grabbed her hand, and before heading toward the jet bridge, he turned back one last time. "When Daddy sees this from heaven," he said with a soft smile, "he'll be happy someone helped us." The innocence of it struck Adrian in the heart with the force of a lifetime of truths he had buried. He wasn't just helping strangers. He was finding pieces of himself he thought he'd lost forever. As they walked toward the plane, Lena stopped, turned back, and whispered across the distance, "You didn't save just our flight. You saved my hope." Adrian swallowed hard, unable to speak. He watched them disappear down the jet bridge, a mother and a son finally going home. For once, the airport didn't feel cold or loud or lonely. It felt like a crossroads, one where he had finally chosen the path his father would have been proud of. The supervisor approached quietly. "Sir, will you be all right?" He nodded. "Yes, for the first time in a long time. I think I will." He walked toward the terminal windows as the plane pulled away from the gate. Its lights glowed against the gathering darkness. A small miracle gliding into the sky. And Adrian whispered almost to himself, sometimes, the flight you save isn't theirs, it's your own. Moral, a single act of kindness can lift someone out of their darkest moment, but sometimes it saves the giver just as much as the one receiving it.